Sports School is brought to you by BASF and Pride Seeds.
Bernard Tobin here for RealAgriculture.com. I'm here in Putnam, Ontario, just east of London today, joined by Ken Currah, Market Agronomist, Pride Seeds, sir. Welcome and
Thanks
for taking the time.
Certainly.
Hey, it's August 1st and it's warm out. It's warm. Wow.
Yep.
This has been the coldest July I can remember in recent years. And it's so strange to be driving around looking at corn not tasseled. August 1st. Tell us about, how late we are, Ken. Should we be concerned? Where is this crop?
Yeah, so really we're looking at the tail of two corn crops. And, for most of my trading area, we had two distinct planting windows. And there was that, 3 to 5 day window leading up to Mother's Day back in the middle of May, where a lot of corn got in. That was actually the opportunity for a lot of producers to get their long day corn in. And then from the 14th to the 26th, let's say, not a lot happened in the field. And then that window opened up again May 26th and beyond and into the first week of June. So June corn is June corn, and that's what you see that isn't tasseled right now for the most part. It's the cold weather the last 2 weeks, these cool nights, and what really felt like September days on a couple of days, certainly felt like September nights anyway, it hasn't helped advance that crop at all. But, for the earlier corn, this is May planting behind us here. This is actually May the 27th.
Wow.
So it has trucked along really nicely. You can tell it's got good fertility underneath it, and it went in well, and it really just hasn't slowed down like some of the other crops that may have got carved into some mud or just less fertility underneath them or not as good as soil conditions. They tend to be a little bit slower advancing. This crop here, this test plot, full tassel for May 27th planting, so pretty happy with that. Where is this corn crop? Well, for this particular location, I was looking at crop heat unit accumulation to date. This location is just ticked over 1,500 heat units.
It's just a little slow?
A little slow, but most of the hybrids in here are give or take 150 heat units. They're right around 3,000. So we're about halfway there, which makes sense. When corn is tasseled, it's halfway there. And we're about 6% behind normal if you look at this particular location. What's interesting is looking at a lot of locations in Western Ontario tracking CHU accumulation is really most of the locations are actually ahead of the 30-year average slightly, anywhere from 30 to 100 heat units. The three locations that were noticeably behind were Woodstock, Hamilton, and Elora, so kind of this central part of Western Ontario has kind of stayed cool, right? But most locations are actually ahead of the 30-year average. So it's not a question of having a colder than normal summer to date, as much as it's a late planted corn crop, and it needs its season.
So tell us about what needs to happen. I mean, it's August 1st. You typically, you're going to need some heat. You're going to need some nice rain. You're going to need an open fall for this stuff to catch up and finish.
Yeah. So. I mentioned just a minute ago, this crop is in tassel. It's about halfway there. Corn's really a tale of two half lives. It takes, 60 to 66 days to get out of the ground and tassel out under normal conditions. Then you look at another 60 to 70 days through pollination and to black layer maturity, which is, the black layer forming in the tip of the kernel, 31 to 34% moisture and theoretically harvestable grain with the combine, right? So we're kind of at that halfway stage. It's August 1st today. It's a little bit later planted corn crop, so that 60 to 70 day window, unless we get a real screamer of an August in terms of heat, is really a 70-day window right now. Takes us to Thanksgiving weekend. Not too bad. For this particular location, not too bad. I'll accept that. Our killing frost generally in this area is October 10th to 20th, 22nd, let's say. Seems to be trending later. Yep. So let's hope that trend continues. What we really need to avoid this year is we need to avoid that September burner of a frost. We saw that in 2009 where we had a cooler summer, a little bit later planted, although not as bad as 2014. But we got I believe a September 20th to 25th. There was a frost a couple nights in there that took out the top half of the corn plants in a lot of areas and led to basically immature corn. Didn't theoretically kill the plant, but it might as well have in a lot of areas because that corn crop stopped. Right. Immature corn, wet corn, and light test weight corn. And
we've in the last, even a couple of years ago, we've seen late corn, planted corn, really come on with a nice fall and some record yields.
Yes, for sure. those of us in the agronomy industry, in the seed corn business, you know, we really focus on put the crop into fit conditions in the spring. And we can actually see that over these last 2 weeks. The crops that were put into fit conditions, ideal conditions, irregardless of the calendar date, are the ones that have kept advancing through this cold weather. It's almost, you know, the parallel comparison would be the finely tuned racehorse. You know, you feed it quality hay, or do you feed it poor quality rained on hay? You know, you want this crop to have a good diet, and ultimately a good diet is good fertility, but also good soil conditions for those roots to take advantage of it.
Yeah. Well, hey, there you have it. Ken Currah, we need some heat. We need a nice long season, no frost, and giddy up.